me.
That's what I'm doing as well.
Okay, keep an eye and keep in mind they are delayed from what we're seeing, so don't get confused about that because it is difficult for me to talk and BS and do all that fun stuff. Let me know when we're live. I don't even have it up.
I told Raiden beforehand, I'm looking forward to being actually and fact checked live. So it's gonna be,
Yeah.
let's see.
Let's see what's happening. We are live. I'm seeing it.
Okay. Yep.
Well, it's holding, right?
All right. Great.
There we go. I got it too.
All right. So what I'm mainly looking for, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. This is kind of a first. I don't know if I'm going to continue to do this. Welcome to Polar Currency. We have two very special guests. One we knew about, Cody, because he wouldn't leave me alone and he's a stalker. You know, who doesn't want a piece of Polar Currency? I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm that guy, Cody. I'm sorry. No, it's serious, sincerely. But what I had reached out when Cody had said, "Hey, when's the next time you're going to do live?" And I'm like, "Come on, let's have you on." And I also invited Andy from Carney Coins Center, and my partner in crime on some videos, and also Raiden Hodniker from Heritage Auctions. So Raiden, Cody, you guys are the best. Thank you. It is sincerely my honor and privilege to have you guys on. You kind of scare me a little bit from the aspect that I am just a normal collector. Just happen to be a history major, and that's what I do for my living. So I dig in deep and explore the historical context. By the way, since we got a little time, how many people are on, Cody? I'm having Cody watch and Raiden watch. How many people come
We
on?
have 11 right now.
Wow, wow. So I'm gonna say just how much of a dork I think we all are who enjoy currency. So Netflix came out with a new series, just a four-part historical dramatic series about James Garfield called Death by Lightning. Really a dumb name, but um, actually historically it's really a good series. But three or four times, guess what they show? They show money. And of course, I mean, as a dork, every movie, every TV, I'm pausing it, going looking at it, and they have one shot, two specific really good shots of money. One, they have the guy who killed Guteau, who was the assassination, killed Garfield, and but they have a really close up shot of a $10 1880 Jackass. I mean, it's pretty close, and of course, I'm pausing it. My wife's like, "This is boring enough. I don't need you to do that." Then they also have James Garfield, and I cannot remember his first name, made Bryce either register or U.S. Treasurer, one of the two, and he's a black senator from Mississippi. He signed the notes, and so they had that little ceremony showing, Bryce signing his notes and making the comment that now everybody in the United States will have to carry a dollar bill with a black man's signature on it. Not getting political. It was just cool from the monetary and how they did it. It was just cool. I'm assuming everybody like us is like that. So
Yeah. Can't say how many times I've paused the movie and rewound it to see if the currency's period. And I'm just hearing my fiance say, "Can we just, can we get back to the movie, please? It's just the story of our lives. I think we're all the same, each and every one of us currency nerds. But hey, that's just how life goes."
Especially if you're watching like a contemporary movie, like an actually old movie from like maybe the 20s or the 30s, and they do a close up of the change or their cash in their hand, and it's legitimately like a Black Eagle or a
right.
Lincoln
Mhm.
Silver.
And then you
Um,
say, "Hey, that props guy did their research."
it-
Um,
yep.
and it's funny, I just saw, I'm sure you saw it too, Cody, but there was a post that somebody made on Facebook, and it was the from Back to the Future, I guess, was it three, part
Yeah,
three?
We're in the
Wild West
1880s.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they zoomed in on the, Doc's emergency currency suitcase, and they picked that apart, the what's right, what's wrong, and that was pretty interesting. But I think every coin and currency collector at some point pressed pause on that scene and took a close look. I'll give him an A for effort. I mean, there was a wide variety in there, but there were some inconsistencies. But anyway, sidebar, right?
a total sidebar. Well, I mean, it's just something to, waiting for folks to join. And
Mhm.
so now officially I'm going to say, okay, Cody, introduce yourself. We're going to get to know with these guys. And as always, as collectors, we always want to know, when did you start collecting? How long have you been collecting? Or what do you collect? Those types of things. What do you love? I mean, everybody collects a lot of, currency. And we all have our little niche favorites within our collection. I guess that's what I'm looking for. So
So my name's Cody Oreganator. I've been collecting in like the numismatic field probably for about over 30 years. Um, it started when I was a little kid. We tore down a barn on our property, and a bulldozer went perfectly over an 1853 large cent that my grandpa found in the dirt. I still have it. It's down in my safe in a PCGS slab for safekeeping.
you slabbed it.
Uh,
That's
I
awesome.
still have it, so I wouldn't lose it anymore.
Yep.
And as time went on, like my dad had a like in the 80s and 90s, every dad had the red and gold check box. The checks came in from the bank
Oh
with
yeah, 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 yep.
and it was full of silver dollars and half dollars
Deluxe.
he got when he was a kid. So he gave those to me. Kind of took off from there. I took a little bit of time off, high school and college. There wasn't a lot of time for that, and there wasn't a lot of money for any of that stuff. And then I got out of it, and coins just started not doing it for me anymore. Too much competition. I find there's lot more snobbery in coins. Uh,
See, I
basically,
told you, everybody. Maybe
it's
it's
just
not snobbery, maybe it's just meanness, but I find currency folks are a lot nicer than, and I'm painting with a broad brush, but that's what I do, and y'all know it. Cody, sorry.
I'll agree with you. And I kind of sold off. I had a real nice Morgan dollar collection. I sold off. I kind of discovered currency around the time I was in college. I'd kind of look at the stuff on eBay just for fun. Um, and then I started buying some currency. Then I saw my first national at the local coin shop. It happened to be from my home county. I bought that and
Wow, that's
bought
cool.
bought the uh, Kelly book at the time, which was current, and kind of took off from there. Finally, I discovered like Heritage and Stax Bowers and like Lynn Knight, all those auction sites. So you got to see everything that has been sold. I focused at first. I was like, I'm going to get notes from all the banks, and realized how stupid that was because there's over 12,000 of them. And I narrowed it down to Iowa. The good thing about collecting Iowa, I'm from Iowa, obviously, but like the good thing about it is you have the Higgins Museum. So your ultimate competition is the museum, and they pretty much have everything.
I mean, they got 2 rooms of all Iowa national banknotes. I mean, it's
And
massive.
of the banks where there's only like one note reported, it's there. So I mean, you really don't have to. It's kind of stinks that you can't buy it, but you
So
don't have to
your
worry about
dreams were
finding it.
crushed right off the bat.
Right, you're
Okay,
already put in your place.
but
And
keep
I
going.
I decided to focus, like do my own kind of Higgins collecting. I collect all the Iowa charters, titles. I want a large and a small off them. I have dupes on some of the banks if it's different denominations, signatures, you name it. I also went to college in Chicago. So I collect Chicago in small size by charter, denomination, signature combination. I'm 2 notes away from having the actual complete set, which would be the first time I think in history that it's ever been put together. Because two of the notes I have were discovery notes
Wow.
put in my collection. I also collect replacement nationals, which is kind of a niche thing. You'll see me posting them in the group
And
every
we're
so.
we're going to come back to that. I want you to talk about the National Banknote Collectors Facebook book
Well,
group.
we'll do.
The administrator for that, my understanding.
Andy and I created that group,
Yeah.
and Andy and I are the
Who?
admins on it.
Who?
Andy Timmerman.
Who?
He's an unknown. Nobody knows him.
Oh yeah, Bibble. Okay.
But
He
so
was he was also invited to be here today, but sadly, his wife's family there was a death at his wife's side of his family. So I extend our condolences to him and her family.
it's
All right,
good.
sorry about that.
Oh no, you're good. So I started doing that. Like I collect those, and I do collect good for tokens, like Iowa trade tokens, because I think they kind of hand in hand kind of go with nationals because they are location specific. What I like about national banknotes is they were in the actual town that you see on the banknote,
Mhm.
so you can connect everything. Iowa tokens are insane. I have the reference book right here. It's this thick, and it's 25,000 listings in just the book and not the supplement. So I only collect Eastern Iowa, where I'm from, in a very select few counties. That makes it more manageable. But unfortunately, the counties I collect are also very rare for good for tokens. So it works for that too. But yeah, I avidly collect. Raiden and I talk almost daily about notes, nationals. I was a grader for PC Just Currency. Yeah, I've been around this stuff forever. I've kind of immersed myself in the last 10, 15 years when I had the means and the ability to do so. So it's every day's a learning thing. I love learning about this stuff and uh, hearing from other people's points of view.
Awesome. Thank you. Very, very, I just wonder with all you, do you run the obsolete banknote page for Facebook also?
No, I don't.
Okay,
That's a different person.
it's a different group. Um, yeah, I just wonder, what leaves you time for everything else, like making a living, family, whatever you do, trap your dog in the bathroom, um, which is where his dog is at right now. You can
Yeah.
let the dog out if it's not too.
He'll bark and it'll be a
Oh,
whole
okay.
thing.
All
And
right.
but he's fine. He's got his toys in there. But no, I kind of do a lot of numismatic work professionally still.
And
So
you're a governor on the Society of
yeah,
Paper Money Collectors
governor
group.
for the SPMC as well. So yeah, a lot of irons in the fire when it comes to this stuff. I'm very passionate about it.
And I don't think, you are probably at least, I don't know, 45 years younger than the average age of a currency collector. Um, so that's good to see because that's my whole mission. And I was talking to Sean Hewitt at a show about a month ago, and the local show we have up here, and I'm like, could we like Society Paper Money Collectors? I would love to see that. It needs some juice. Let's just put it that way. I'm being nice, and I also am a member and a supporter of it. I think it's important. Um, but yeah, let's try to get that average down to, I don't know, 72 years old for the age. I'm just saying. And it's important because we need to attract people to currency to keep it strong. We don't want to go the way of the stamp collectors. No offense to stamp collectors at all. It's just that their hobby kind of imploded, um, which I'm curious if you guys have any insight on later on if we get time to do that. Anyways, it's important to start getting folks that are 45 to 55 because this is where they're getting the time, the extra money to get that interest into our hobby so we can keep our hobby successful. And I don't want to hear that things are getting more, that notes cost more. Notes costing more is nobody likes it, but it's a good thing. It is a very good thing. That's your number one sign of health of our hobby. So, anyways, Mr. Raden. So this is the first time I've talked to you, so I'm sorry. You're if I verbally abuse you at all, that's what I do. Obviously, you're coming from this group first. I mean, that's how I first I never paid attention. Yeah, I'm on Heritage here and there, and I don't pay attention until your picture started annoying me every time I logged on, which maybe I liked a little bit, to be honest, but that's all me. Um, but tell me what let's start off with Heritage and what you do for Heritage, just real briefly. It's not
Yeah.
about that. I'm more interested in your knowledge of collectors and what you collect. But
Sure. Yes, absolutely. So yes, my name is Raiden Honecker, and I'm a consignment director in the currency department here at Heritage Auctions. Um, so um, primarily, I'm consignment director, so seeking out consignments for our different venues, which is not just limited to currency. Obviously, that's my specialty. So I deal with collectors. We have people sending inquiries about their currency. We assist them with that. We bring them into consignment. And we offer them at auction in a very quick nutshell. Also for Heritage, I'm a licensed.
can I clarify a little bit? Consignment director, basically, you're one of your main purposes of your job is to bring in inventory.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, material for auction.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just wanted to
Mhm.
make sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Also for Heritage, I'm a licensed auctioneer in the great
Yep.
state of
Yep.
Texas. So you can catch me on the podium if you go and check out our signature auctions on
Yep.
currency. You will find me up there. I love it. It's a lot of fun to get to call material that you're passionate about. Uh, um, so that I have thoroughly enjoyed that. I've been an auctioneer for 2.5 years now. Yeah.
How much of a
Um,
process is that? Is there like an auctioneer school to go to? Or,
yes, yes. Heritage, we actually have our own auctioneer school here,
okay.
which is pretty neat. It's a pretty lengthy course. It takes hours. Class took maybe 8 months to get through. So the Texas Department of Licensing Regulation requires you go over some very specific material in order to become a licensed auctioneer. I kid you not, we had an entire chapter, kid you not, an entire chapter on auctioning mattresses.
Wow.
Yes,
I can't even put a used mattress on the curb because, you know, I don't, our garbage
yeah,
pickup won't pick up mattresses, but
yeah, the whole chapter on mattresses and expired food. Again, things you'd
wow.
never imagine. Yes, it's pretty interesting actually. So if you have any questions about used mattresses, I might be able to answer them
Well,
for you.
I
Okay.
know Heritage is very diverse in what it does consign and auction, unbelievably diverse. It's not
Well, I'm happy to say that we don't have a used mattress department at Heritage yet. Okay,
yet. Well, good.
yet you were,
All right. So,
but
yeah. So, let's talk about you. What do you collect?
yeah. So
Or when did
very avid collectors. So I started collecting at the age of 8. It all started. My grandfather, he was an archaeologist, ancient historian, college professor, with a focus on ancient Rome. And at an early age, I was exposed to the artifacts that he would collect, which included ancient coinage.
you,
And at a young age, that always just was so neat to me that he would give me these coins and I got to hold it and just realizing that these are thousands of years old. And I love that from the get-go. And around the age of 8, he wanted to get, his grandkids involved in numismatics. So he gave each of one of the 9 grandchildren a bag of, coal ancient coinage, nothing,
right. Yeah.
too really expensive, just like low grade coins. He gave us a bag of ancient and world coins with the hopes of, hey, maybe one of
Inspiring.
them will pick it up and find an interest in it. Well, one of the grandkids did. Okay, you're looking at them, and it grew from there. So it all started out with the ancient coinage. That was what I was first exposed to. And then, of course, the longer you're involved in collecting, the more you start to figure out what you want to specialize in, what really appeals to you the most. And, later that year, my grandfather gave me some US coins. And I thought that was really neat. He just gave me the typical wheat cents and the steel cents. Those just blew my mind away. So I collected, US coins for a little bit until around 12 or 13. I had an uncle who um, had an interest in numismatics. And I remember when I can never remember if I was 12 or 13, but anyway, he gifted me with a Friedberg book.
Oh,
Just whatever 13-year-old wants, of course. And I remember popping that open, and I was just blown away. I love just flipping through all the pages and seeing these just incredible works of art. But what really caught my interest was whenever I flipped to the back of the book and I started learning about national banknotes. And I remember there's an index in the back of the Friedberg book where it has all of the issuing national banks
yeah.
listed.
Just paid.
And
Yeah.
of course, I was looking, I wonder if my hometown of Vidalia issued. So I remember looking and I found it and I'm like, wow, how cool is that? Now I'm from a small town, so I just couldn't, put my mind around my small hometown having national banknotes. So
But
that I went into a rabbit.
that's the hugest hook for me. I get excited for you because you could be in a town that doesn't even exist or maybe only has 500 people, and yet
Yeah,
here it is. Here's your
here it
national
is.
with your hometown on it. That
You
is,
have a tangible piece of your hometown's history. But I went to the rabbit hole and I remember, looking online for Vidalia, Georgia national banknotes. And I remember finding the first image of one. And again, I was just blown away. And actually, Full circle, I own that note now, the very first one I ever saw.
Hold on, I gotta do a spotlight for you.
You see that?
So what is this note to you? This is the
This
first.
is so this was the first Vidalia, Georgia National Bank note I ever came across whenever I uh, went on Google and was searching up images when I was 12 or 13. And it's funny that I ended up with that same exact note. And this was
That's
actually
the
the
first one you saw. And
first one.
what was the time period in between seeing it and being, or just buying it, which I'm assuming was kind of a fluke?
It's so currently there's 9 large size reported. So pretty elusive. They never come up though, so that figure is a little bit deceiving. But anyway, I picked this up whenever I was 18. So 5, 6 years later, which I guess is pretty good. I had to pay up for it.
You always do.
I was a poor college student, whenever I bought this, so it was a lot of money, but I had to have it. And this was the first note in my Georgia National Banknote collection, ironically. And then it just kind of went from there. But I am very avid collector of Georgia National Banknotes first and foremost. It's a great state to collect. Yes, I might be a little bit biased here, but I feel like it's like,
That's
like the
about nationals. You can be.
right, exactly. But it's not Georgia. It's kind of like the Goldilocks, factor where there's not too many banks like Iowa, you know,
Or
or Pennsylvania, where it's impossible to get every
Don't
bank.
lump us in with Pennsylvania. Don't
What's
don't lump
that?
don't lump Iowa in with Pennsylvania.
Okay, all right. I won't do that to you. Okay, I'll lump Iowa in with yeah. Okay, yeah.
Minnesota. That's
I'll,
a
I'll, I'll I'll
conflict,
rephrase that. I'll rephrase that. All right, it's not too many like Pennsylvania. It's not too little like I don't know Hawaii.
right?
So 165 issuing banks. That's obtainable. You can do that. And I think it's an exciting state because there's still so many notes to be discovered on Georgia. Out of the 165 issuing banks, a quarter are either unique or unknown.
Wow.
So there's still so many great notes that haven't, unearthed yet. Hopefully they're out there. Um, there's some that, there's whispers of some of those unreported banks and, incredible types, being out in the weeds somewhere. I think I made a post about it not too terribly long ago. Cody remembers this note, but there was an unreported town, Claxton, Georgia. They issue both large and small size. And Claxton's in my neck of the woods, in southeast Georgia. And a couple of, I guess a month or two ago, I was talking to an old school Georgia collector, and he had this ancient black and white photocopy of a small size Claxton National. So he obtained that photocopy way back in the 80s.
So that was like the first proof existence of the.
Yes, yes, it's proof. Yes, it's a photocopy, but the fact that we have evidence that there is one out there somewhere. It hasn't been seen since the early 80s, but by God, we know there's one out there. That's me. It that's just why nationals are so great. Every year we have dozens of discoveries, and not knowing what could be next, no matter how many notes were issued, because there's some notes that have turned up where they shouldn't exist. That happens so much. And that's just what's so exciting about nationals. That's why I love them. And that's why I collect them. That's why Cody collects them. That they're just so much going for that type.
And
And
well,
they're just
this is what has brought me. I mean, again, I don't know if with your common collector, most of us are type collectors and we don't go down the national, and there's plenty that do. Although uh, the nationals, I think it's a value thing because there is no values. I
mhm.
mean, because you talk, well, what's that one Claxton note worth to a guy from Southeast Georgia? What would you pay for it? What would I pay for it?
I mean,
If
I think it could be a 5-figure note without a doubt.
would I pay 5 figures or would I pay, three? It's the value to me And that's what nationals is. And in talking about that, and that's why I wanted folks out there. By the way, Cody, do we any questions? Anything happening?
I'm following the live stream right now, and I've been answering the questions popping in there. And also, our attendance, we're bouncing between 28 and 34 people.
Wow,
So
that's awesome. Happy Saturday morning to everybody. But this is why I wanted to have you folks, you guys come on and to ask to broaden your horizon. If you're not looking at national banknotes, one, I look at it and go, you need to as far as types. Get an original, get a brownback, get a 1902, because I don't want to say those, three words. I'll get yelled at. Um, you know what I'm talking about, Cody. You get
I
that
know.
inside. And I don't care. It doesn't matter. It actually makes it easier to not say first, second, third charter in my book. And it does make sense. But I mean, to go down the road of these nationals, the history there, I'm incredibly jealous. I've been told I've not seen anything there. Cody, maybe you could help with that. My hometown of White Bear Lake, Minnesota, had a national bank, but didn't issue anything. I believe I'd heard that they've got a charter number. I don't know if they have a charter number or not, but I've just heard that through the blah blah blue. But it is such a deep and broad as you want to make nationals. And to not have an example of at least like I just rattled off, an original or 1875, an 1882, I'd probably make it a brown back because my suggestion. Do you have to have the value back or the day back? No, in my opinion, for your type collection, but it is a type and I understand it. I am going to add one, but at minimum, they should be in your collection for types. But I think people are afraid of them. I know internally, and this is what I want to ask you guys about, is the value. Like Raiden, you talked about that one note. Then you talk about, okay, Pennsylvania comes up, a very, fairly populated eastern side of Pennsylvania, right? Where there's a lot of national banks, and New York obviously has my I have, there's two forms of notes in Minnesota. You've got the St. Paul of Minneapolis, which issued quite a bit of currency, and then you've got the Sleepy Eyes. These weird names, Starbuck, that they're not that rare, but the price is. And then you go to New York, and like my buddy Big Apple Stacker, he's doing the American National Exchange Charter number 1394 collection, which is super cool. Um, and there's a lot of notes of that. They're one of the few banks that made a $500. It issued a $500 national. So not that he'd get that, although he'd love it. But the value of it, people don't know what to pay for. And so I don't know what to do with that when I get asked directly, well, what's the value of that? I don't know. It should be less than a New York should be less than St. Paul or a Minneapolis note, which is going to be less than Iconia, Minnesota note or whatever small town, obviously. How do you help collectors along with saying, you know what, you're never going to get a price. You're never going to get you're not going to get that price out of this book. It's not going to happen. It's a guide and it's a wide guide. So, Cody, I'll go with you first.
I mean, it's all about it goes on supply and demand. Now, I know we've made some jokes about like Pennsylvania, and I'm not ragging on anybody who collects Pennsylvania, but kind of Pennsylvania is
I
our
just
go-to
brag
for.
on one particular person, which reminds me of Raiden, by the way, and that's my buddy Tyler from Currency Relics, who literally started his YouTube channel when he was 12. He made his first YouTube, and he's made one every year since then. And the guy has gotten where he just purchased in the last year $1,000 FRN 1918, and he just picked up $1,000 1882 gold certificate. So the guy has curated his point from being 12, and that was only 12 years ago. It's pretty staggering what he's put together, but we need more guys like you younger folks. Anyways, Cody.
Well, it's one of those things where it's kind of a supply and demand. I saw a question pop up in the live chat just now about like track and price provides values for all nationals. Well, that's great, but take everything with a grain of salt when it comes to that because even I mean people quote the Kelly. Now remember the Kelly is old enough to drive a car. So that's way out of date.
That's a
You
great way to put that. It was 2008, right?
2008.
2008, and those prices are
they're hit or miss, and they're put together. They were put together by experts in the state, and there's some things that don't make sense, and they never made sense to me. Um,
And
in
it's
that,
their best estimate at the time. It is a
right.
very loose guide.
And you have to look at like auction results, and even those you have to be kind of careful of, because I can say there's an Iowa note that sold recently on Heritage that went for a bananas price. Like it was a small size from a town. I don't want to give it away, but it sold for over $3,000, and that's a $500 note. So it took two people to get up that high, and they wanted it. And congratulations to the consigner and all that.
I mean,
But
was there enough notes in that situation? Because this is exactly what I'm talking
there's
about. This is
plenty.
why
There's
people are afraid of nationals. And they see these red herrings out there, like you're describing. So, I mean, that could easily been just like you just described. Two guys that wanted the note. It's a rare, scarce note to begin with. One of nine, maybe. I don't know. They don't come up that often. And two guys are going after it, or a gal. Well, whatever. And
it,
that's the situation, isn't it? I mean,
they. I mean, this bank alone, though, I looked it up while I'm talking to you. There's 34 small size known or reported. I don't like to use the word known because reported is more accurate to use, but 34
and that
is
can be a lot, and people
that's
don't know
common.
that,
That's
right?
common. And that's a
People,
question that comes up all the time: is what is considered rare, scarce, or common when it comes to national banknotes? And my philosophy is 1 to 3 is rare, 4 to 8 is semi scarce. You go 9 to 12, semi common. You go above 12, it's common. Because what people don't realize is like a lot of people collect type notes. And, you want your portal and your poker chip and all
yep,
that. There's a lot of hands that want those notes, but you got to find 12 people that want BFE Pennsylvania note to buy it to make it worth something. Like, good luck. And I mean, this one here has 34. 34 is and in a lot of notes. I mean, granted, it could be hoarded. You have to factor in there's a town in Iowa called Buffalo Center, Iowa. And Buffalo Center, Iowa on paper is a common note. But I know that there's a person hoarding that town that buys every one that hits the market and sucks it up like a vacuum.
and they don't care what they pay for it.
They do not care what they pay for it. I've been offered by that person. I have several in my collection that I just won't sell because I won't get them back.
In spite, is that spite, or is that because
It's
you won't get them back? They won't ever be back out there.
Dean Oaks, like he recently sold, like Glenn recently sold his collection, told me one time when I
Mhm.
tried to buy a note from him, he said, well, if I sell you mine, then I won't have one. It,
True.
it kind of resonated with me.
And isn't
Like,
that the whole point of being a collector?
yeah,
You want at least one, I guess, right?
yep.
So,
You want at least one. And, but like when it comes to the pricing and things like that, it's just simply, it's hard to explain. You have to know exactly what you're looking for, what you're willing to pay, how bad do you want it. Um, at some point, you just kind of have to pay what it is if it's rare enough, I should say. Don't fall for some nonsense of some sticker price that's bananas compared to what's reported out there, obviously.
well, and
But
that's to do your homework. I mean, how am I going to know that? I'm looking at national banks. What's my value? And I'd always encourage, if you're collecting national banks, and to stay local.
mhm.
Stay local first. Don't pick up just any old, like if you're in Virginia and you're picking up Illinois nationals or whatever, why wouldn't you try to stay local, at least mid-Atlantic, regional?
And
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
people get hung up like
because you
that.
might get the bug might bite you to further this collection of nationals, and then here you're looking at a national going, why do I have this national from Michigan when I'm from whatever? And you're probably going to replace that. So if you're going to start as close to home as you can get. If you're lucky enough to have a hometown, then go to county. If your county can't find it, go to your region, state, and keep going out from there. Is kind of how I've talked to folks who have asked me about it, where if I do start with that. And then if you don't want to go there, you got great notes that are part of your type collection.
And one thing that always gets me, and Raiden probably notices this too, because we follow a bunch of social media sites and a bunch of forums, all you can name when it comes to national banknotes, is one thing if you join the Facebook group, one of the rules is, do you understand this is not a how did I do?
Right. Yep.
Mhm.
And that's something that troubles me as a collector is why would you ever blind buy something? And this stuff's not cheap. Like
Right,
it's
especially with the nationals,
it is.
that going in blind is not wise.
And so, some of these people, sometimes I see people drop several $100s on a note and said, how'd I do on this? Is this a good one? It's like, I wish I could be that willy nilly to, throw my money around and say, how'd I do afterwards? But
I get questions like that also. I mean, I seem to be a obsoletes. We're going to move to that conversation, by the way, because I think there's a distinct association with obsoletes and nationals. But I get that question. I just bought this for X amount of money. What do you think? And I'm like, I have no idea. It was your first national that you bought. Luckily, the gentleman who bought it did actually. He got a really high grade. What the South Carolina notes for the sweet potato dinner note from South Carolina. Do you know what I'm talking about? No.
Early 1873s,
Yes.
1872,
Yeah.
73s, yeah.
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 So the green, they're gorgeous notes.
Yeah, beautiful notes, but you can get a 7 for $250.
And
Yeah.
that's what he did. I mean, that's exactly, he paid $200 for a 67 rate. And it's funny you just threw
Yeah.
that out. And that's what he did. And I'm like, whew, good. Yeah, great. If there was one note that I would say to get and you only want one obsolete, I'd look at that issue because you can get really high grade notes and they're really nice and they have a reverse on them. So, I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
And they're
if
not technically
you get one,
remainders either.
that's the collection.
Yeah. Yeah. That's another point.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Cody.
Oh, they're not technically remainders either. So they're a high
Yeah. They're
grade
issued.
issued note.
Okay, let's go there while we're that. We have this discussion because, well, it's not really a banknote, it's a remainder. In the world of currency collection, at least in my little world of average folks, we don't give a shit. We want to know that it's a remainder, and we do understand that notes that have been issued and signed and signatured and things like that and circulated can be more expensive. We get that but to sit there and say, well, that's not a banknote, I'm not going to collect a remainder. Pound sand. I don't want to talk to you anymore.
And I'm not saying that the remainder is not a
I know
bank.
you're not, but the distinction, and that's why I wanted to just say that. I didn't know that you're not. I figured you were a snobby coin guy coming into the currency.
Some of the stuff hung over from the more than dollar days. but
Yeah.
Remainders are a great value too if you're getting into it, because you can get some genuinely beautiful, gorgeously engraved notes with great vignettes for a very low price point.
Yeah. Canal Bank, Louisiana, New Orleans.
Oh yeah, you can get high denominations. You get 500s and thousands off those.
On Canal Bank, yeah. I mean, they're great.
Really cool denominations and great vignettes on it. Anyways, let's come back to that. Finish up national banknotes. So Cody, all right. So I'm gonna try to keep going. If there's any questions that we should be addressing,
I'm keeping an eye on
let me
for you.
know. So with regarding nationals, what are my education tools? Because it's like, it's kind of like buy the book. Well, that's not easily done with national banknotes. I mean, yes, I can buy the book, and I think the Friedberg does. This book right here does a fair job of giving you, basic knowledge of what nationals are. They give a fair job of guidelines. It does a fair job of listing the states so I can see, oh, this area may be more expensive, maybe not. You never know. What can I do more than the Friedberg book?
The SPMC has a great. I know we're going to talk about this again later too, but
No, that's all right.
we have the National Banknote Encyclopedia available online. See, there's chapters written by great contributors and writers like Peter Huntoon, Lee Loftus, Andrew Shiva. Many of the greats have written these chapters and contributed information to them. So that's a great place to start. You can learn like from the get-go why they were created, why they were issued, how they became into existence. Then you can go into more nuanced stuff like the different series, the issuing eras, the types. Why did they stop issuing ones and twos? You can get into all of that kind of stuff. You can go into there, build your knowledge base up, and then you can kind of go into the market from there. So that's kind of your starting point. What I'd recommend is just let's always buy the book first. That is the book, and it's available online.
And by the
So
way, to become a member, and well, it's kind of is okay. Well, let's just slide there right now. I mean, I'll shill for the SPMC. I mean, if you want institutional knowledge, detailed knowledge, sometimes too detailed, I'll admit that, but I love it from where I come from. What I do, those articles that you talk to, I am climbing through, getting answers. I'm doing probably one of the boringest videos I've ever done coming up, and I just don't care. What it's called the color of money. Why are the seal colors what they are? By the way, there's no answers, none, with the exception of a few. We understand why gold is gold, but pretty much why did they start out red? Because that's the color of ink they had laying around. I mean that I'm stereotyping for the most part, and we get into World War One with the FRNs, and they started out with red, and Germany, can't ship the ink anymore, so they had more blue at that time, so they switched to blue because they had more of it. But other than that, I can't find a reason why green's green. Anyways, I'm going through literally, and this will bore the tears out of everybody, but it's a cool video. Here's every seal that I could possibly identify and
That's fun.
go,
Yeah.
this is when it came out. It went on this. I'm not doing every note with every series chronologically, and you can't quite do that because it's easy with legal tenders is such a hot steaming pile as far as the how, and so does silver certificates. They follow that pattern too. But anyways, but it's that kind of information. I was able to get some really good information from those articles going back from like now. I think there was a 1965 article where I'm like, there's the answer. This is
Yeah.
awesome.
Mhm.
And
and
you can search that in their database.
it's all categorized. I know Mark Gregson, one of our other governors, put a lot of time and effort into breaking those up into different categories. You can go to the actual main page and you can
Yes.
search all the articles you want in fractionals and anything you want. It's fantastically organized.
And the
People need to
search
know.
function actually works fairly well, by the way,
Yeah.
when you're looking for a keyword. It
And
actually does. But it's literally as cheap as I think $25 a year to be a member.
yeah,
I do the full blown one, $50 a year, and I get because I like a hard copy. I want
Yeah.
every six times a year they publish the Paper Money Journal, and I want that physical. I can go read the online copy too. But to me, I think I'm looking for the average collector. What are they going to gain out of that? Well, what you gain is for your hobby. If you never go back to the SPMC, I'd say you need to join because you're supporting an organization that is supporting. There's really nothing else it does for currency. Am I wrong out there as far as a body of collectors that have getting together to preserve information? There's the national banknote, or what is it? You're also the like the census that
yeah,
comes under what was
National Currency Foundation.
that's another one, and that's $100 a year, which I haven't joined. Do I need to?
Do you, if you want to get into that discussion now? Because I can
Yeah,
go
because
for
it's
it. Okay.
that's the kind of the nobody you hear about SPMC, you don't hear about the National Currency Foundation, and not too much.
So National Currency Foundation, just kind of broad strokes, what it is. It's the foundation uh, started by Dr. Andrew Shiva, one of our great collectors of our time. Been
By the way,
described as
give him a plug of what he's probably most well known out, at least at YouTubers. I mean, how I knew him was his number one Red Seal
oh
National
yeah, and,
from the number one note from every state, if I'm wrong.
yep, and also he displayed his $500. He owns the $500 national banknote.
Holy
Uh,
crap.
privately, he's displayed that several times. He's described as like the modern day Grinnell.
But if
Uh,
I mean, seriously, you guys are watching on YouTube. Google Andrew Shiva. It's a national banknote collection number ones. I think if you search that within YouTube, you'll see that video. And it's one of those old, what is it, Coin World videos where they interview
David
him.
Yeah.
Lucille.
Yeah, is that guy? He just well, okay. I won't go there. I appreciate it when they do currency. Let's put it. I'll just leave it at that. Which they don't do that anymore. They don't make those anymore, do they?
David passed away a few years ago.
Well, I mean, but nobody else picked it up. Did he own? He owned that stuff, right?
he owned that part, and then Coin Week did it a little bit, but I always tried to corner him at shows to do some currency stuff, but it never kind of materialized. So it kind of stayed with the coins. So this your channel is the way to do it. So we
Wow,
could take over that stuff here. So
I could never be. But anyways, he interviewed Andrew Shiva, and it was a 4 or 5. It's only a 4 or 5 minute video tops. Totally worth it. It's so amazing. It's amazing collection. Anyway, so I digress because I got to do a plug for that for Andrew Shiva and that collection because it's amazing to me, and that was the first time I ever heard of Andrew Shiva. So,
and
anyways,
yeah, Andrew does that, has fantastic collection, super nice guy. I
what's in it for me? What's the with them for
okay,
the
so
National Currency
the
Foundation?
National Currency Foundation has the National Banknotes Census, nbncensus.com. That is the modern day Kelly, because Andrew purchased the Kelly data as well as the Gengurki census back
Ah,
in 2012. So that is the stuff merged into one source. It's an online only live census. I am the census taker. I work for Andrew doing that.
okay, so I'm
Uh,
going to take a pause on. Is that your occupation, by the way?
it's one of my occupations.
Is the other one dealing drugs or not? I don't know. Sorry, I just called him a drug dealer to everybody right here.
At
Sorry.
this age, it's just ibuprofen. But
So, okay, we'll get it. Let's come back to that because I have a couple of my buddies ask about the census and how you find stuff. So, but go on. What's in it for me as an average collector to become a member, to spend $100 a year and become a member?
so it's $100 PayPal. You have to use
But
PayPal.
you take electronic. I only write checks.
I know some people ask if they can
I'm
write a check
1,000 years
or use
old.
a credit card. It is PayPal only for that. To join, $100 a year. And it's a tax write-off too because it's technically a donation
The
to the
foundation.
foundation. So it's
Is
right
it
off.
501c3?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Or
Don't quote.
something.
It's on the
Something like
homepage. It says it.
Fantasy Foundation. Okay, sorry.
But uh,
It's a
so you,
nonprofit.
nonprofit. So
Okay.
you join up. $100. Like I said, everyone's like, "Oh, that sounds like a lot of money." You'll spend more than $100 going out for a night of dinner and drinks with your spouse or your family. So don't look at it that way. But it's
I
$100
spend
for a
that,
year.
I
Divide
spend
that up.
that on every time I get my hair cut. This style is spending.
It's got to stay there. But so you get on there, you got access to it. So you have access to the live census. And since I'm the census taker, I'm updating it daily. Uh, I'm putting in notes. If, for example, I just have it pulled up to the side here. If you see me looking to the side, you can see if you go to the census tab, there's a bunch of tabs at the top. If you go to the census tab and it says a reported date at the upper right, if you put today's date in, you can see what I put in on that day.
Wow,
Um,
that's
now,
detailed.
the way it works is once I add it and hit save, it's live and in the census. But if you hit the charter tab and search, the totals won't change until midnight when the actual server updates. So it's got to sync itself. But the
Yep.
note is in there if you look at it. What it
So,
does is
well, so
behind all
right
these.
there, I'm going to ask the question. So all right. So you see something come up on Heritage, you're like, I don't think that, how do you know? How do you remember what is in, or how are you feeding the census?
So what I do is my back end, my admin side. I search. So eBay is the main one.
Yeah.
I type in, charter and the serial number. I hit it. It'll say no results found. I hit create new result. Bang, bang, bang. Hit save. It's in. Stacks, Bowers, Heritage, Lynn. I will not touch those auctions until they are live. And the reasoning is people are like, well, you got this discovery note coming down the pipeline. Sometimes I'll put those in, but it's my own mental stability. I need the auction live because otherwise I go bounce back and forth and I don't remember what I've done.
So
But like,
what are you recording? What it's last sold price, anything like that?
what's lacking is the auction results, and I always
That's
people always
okay.
bring it up, and I go, it's fine. What I'm focused on is getting the totals in. You can always see where I credit the image to, and go look it up yourself. And
All right.
eventually, those will be put in. That's a whole nother process that's more
And again,
automated
it's a different level. It is.
that
It's
I can do
the
later.
census. It's not a market
Right.
valuation.
So you can see, but like uh those get I find them there. I put them in. I do the Heritage Weeklies on Wednesday morning. So that live auction for that week, by Wednesday afternoon, I will have it done. And all those notes that are new are in there. But the thing that sets us apart is we have images. So
That's
um,
cool.
I put the image in. People are like, why don't you put the back images in? Well, all the backs look the same unless there's an issue with the back or this, like if it's in a PMG or a
Or it might
piece
have
of,
an error or something,
yeah,
whatever.
something there or a
Something
comment
interesting.
on the back, I will put the back image in. Otherwise, you're just going to see the front because
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
It's not
Um,
for, you're not buying it from you. That's not the purpose. It's just seeing the numbers.
right. You just want it in there. So you have the images, and you. I always images are proof. I will not put a bank. I will not put a note in there without an image unless it's me that I have seen it.
Okay.
Because the problem is with the census, and this, I'm not saying it's a bad thing because technology was limited 30, 40 years ago when John Hickman was doing this. You had to rely on word of mouth. You had to rely on like a photocopy but the problem with that is it resulted in a lot of seeds. A seed is a note that doesn't exist that was added or um, out of serial range or doesn't make any sense. And I
Creating
catch those and remove them.
it couldn't exist
It
because
simply could. Like
right,
the bank only issued 20 sheets and your serial number is 450.
right.
There's no way. Um, I catch a lot of that stuff because in my back end, I can search by Treasury and all that and jazz and put it in there. I can also see if it's like been a Grinnell note or something like that, and I'll add the pedigree as I see it. So you get to see if it was part of a famous collection. Um, a lot of people ask too, do the auction companies have problems with me doing that? And no, none of them do. They love it. They encourage me to do it because what people and Raiden can go on this more. But the thing is, an auction company has to, when they take a consignment in, have to give the consigner a realistic expectation. And if the census isn't accurate, then they can only go on the information they have. So they,
Or I mean, less is more sometimes. If you don't know about the note, don't put it in. I mean, that's from a historical guy, my background. If you can't tell me the history, don't tell it at all because
right.
you're probably going to be wrong.
And we're in a hobby too where it's a lot of I heard from this guy that this guy has 40 of them, this kind of stuff. Well, that 40 doesn't matter to me unless I can see them and put them in.
Well,
So
then you have the cases too, Cody, where you have, I'm sure you may have brought this up before in a previous live stream, but you have the people who were falsely reporting notes to make it seem more common so they could get the note for cheaper. So
that
you
happens a
completely
lot.
avoid that. Yeah.
Those must have been coin guys that just came over.
Mhm.
Um,
But I,
so so tell me, so it's like, okay, the question I was at, yeah, how do they get it in? So you're seeing it if it was sold somewhere, and which you just did. So you're taking that information. I'm curious, typical since Heritage, we'll plug Heritage a little bit. I mean, rating on your average Tuesday auction, I'm assuming it's about what, 100, 200 nationals per week, kind of
Within that range, yes. Yeah,
on the
we have quite a few.
just the Tuesdays, right? Just your
Yes, just the weekly auctions,
yeah. So
yes.
let's say it's 200 notes a week, and so Cody, out of those 200 that come down weekly, how many are not in that are not in your that you're like, wow, I
Co-
got 20 of
Co-
them.
it's
Cody, tell me about the weekly contest.
we have a Andy and Raiden and I are in a group chat, and I have a weekly contest. Wednesday morning, I send out a message say, take your guesses on how many are new to the census.
Ah, okay, funny.
And on average, it's between 34 to 44 new notes per auction. And the auctions recently have been running about 130 to 150 lots.
Okay,
And that's per auction. That's a tremendous amount of new material. And there's a lot of what I call new old stock, where it's a previously recorded note, but it's missing information, like it's missing the
oh,
treasury number or it's missing a
okay.
grade. So it's been so long since that note's been seen that we're seeing it for the first time in probably 40 years.
Does the census track any of that as far as okay, here's the first time you know about it? Is there? I've
I
never
can
been into it, so I apologize for that.
so I can see some things on the back end that are notes from like when Kelly took them, like it was
Right.
reported by so and so in 2002. I can see that on the back end. If you again with the search function, if you the census starts on January 1st, 2012, for posterity's sake. So if you search it beginning on that date, you can see everything that's been added since then. So you know the note was reported before that if it doesn't show up in that.
But you're not, if it was sold again, it got sold again since post 2012. You're making no note of that. Nothing happened.
There is some auction. The auction results are pretty current in there up to about 2018, 2019. Then the focus kind of became the census itself. And all it will take is a data dump and things like that, and I can get those things updated. It's not a big thing, but the image, like I said, the images are credited. So if it says courtesy of Heritage Auctions, just search on Heritage, you'll find the sold listing.
Yeah.
Um, for,
Multiple was on Heritage.
what was that? I'm sorry.
I mean, you can see on Heritage if the note was sold 2 times.
Yeah.
It's there in
Right.
right. So
And like I'm just looking through, I had brought up some key figures when I was beforehand looking at this. And since I started working on census May 4th, 2022. Since that date, I have added 54,755 brand new notes to the census. That's brand new notes. And now, if you count adding images to old records, I've probably added like 150,000.
that's shocking.
That's incredible.
That's
And
you're
it's
you're, you're a weird guy.
I am. It's an obsession. Like I refresh eBay to the point where I have a tab open 24/7. Like if people think I messed around on my phone, I'm literally just flicking eBay to refresh it and save things just in case they're not in the census.
I mean, because one of the biggest questions I get is where can I find this information? And this is where the biggest difference that I think in talking to coin collectors who have been deep into coin collection, that this type of information is harder to come by from that aspect. And I get that we're looking at all the oceans in the world compared to one ocean, maybe. It's a much bigger world in coins. But this freedom of making this information available that, as currency collectors, we owe a lot to people who have come before us, but there's people like Cody that are stepping up and doing this and probably never want to figure out if you are getting any financial compensation for this. Cody, you don't want to know what you're making per hour. Ever. You don't want to calculate that. You do it for the passion, you do it for the collecting hobby at the end of the day. Yes, it costs $100, but that investment, and you're like, well, it should be a lifetime. I should pay $100 a lifetime. It's new information. It's a new book. You buy a new Friedberg book, so every year probably a lot of people do. I do. I would suggest you do. But
And the thing I try to explain too is like somebody on Reddit commented yesterday, that's really pricey for it. And I like you don't own the census. The census is owned by individuals. Like you're renting the information. Like and the National Currency Foundation owns that census information. Track and Price Sandy owns that information. Your subscription is paying for access to it. It's not yours. What you own is you own the subscription, the access to it. And a lot of people say, well, it should be free. And why doesn't the SPMC or something post a free census? Like you simply that's not going to happen.
well, SPMC does at least have the
We
link
have
to
the
the banknotes for free that you can go track down and see some of the plate prints from the Smithsonian, and there
100%.
is a lot of free information available from the SPMC website.
And that's one of our strong points is because we have the signature database on the SPMC as well. All that, the print runs, all the dates you need, except for the census. Everything's there but the census part.
So Raiden, diverting because Cody's boring me now. So Raiden, how important is that to? I mean, I think from a heritage auction aspect, how important are those censuses, that knowledge to heritage?
Oh, exceptionally important. I mean, especially for, instances where when we're cataloging a note, we're getting it ready for auction. Let's just say the note has, I don't know, less than a dozen reported. At that level, the difference of having one or two, let me put it to you this way. Having a census where you have, the difference between one to three notes, that's huge. So having an accurate census is vital for us to set, accurate estimates. And we want to be able to catalog nationals as accurately as we can. So we heavily rely on the National Banknote Census. We use it every day here at Heritage, and Cody does an immaculate job with it. The hobby is very fortunate to have him doing what he's doing at the level that he's doing it.
Right.
But we heavily rely on that. Because, let's just say that we have, a note where there's two reported, and there's one that just surfaced, and there's three known. We touched on it in the last live stream where there was a deal that came up at the what was it? It was A&A Oklahoma City, and someone was offering us a very rare Tennessee national, and due to Cody uh, maintaining the census, overnight there was another one that he put into the census, and with
So
that being said, we
that
had
third
to.
one became the fourth, right? That was the situation?
Right, and so we had to heavily adjust our estimate. So it's very vital. Again, one entrant can mean all the difference in pricing a national and setting an estimate. So no, again, in a nutshell, it's heavily important to us. So.
How many people, I'm going to divert. Cody, would you have anything to add to SPMC and the National Currency Foundation and the census? This is your time to shill, or is there any questions out there? I'm about to divert to heritage topic.
I just say recommend if you're interested in nationals, spend the $100, join up. Like I said, I'm updating it daily. SPMC, well worth the money. If you do join from this live stream, throw me and Raiden's name and how you found out about it. It'd be great. Then we get our names published in the guide. It'd be pretty cool. But yeah, it's a small investment for
a member. I get nothing. Thanks.
we,
I,
we we like to keep you in your place.
I
So
don't get it. I just want to see. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, I'm kind of shocked for Society of Paper Money Collectors. I've asked a couple times, and I'm through no. It's just there needs to be more members. I've got an answer. Well, we got 1,200 members, we got 700 members, we got 1,000 members. And not that they need to publish that, but I'm like, that seems incredibly low to me. I know that there's not as many currency collectors as there are to coin collectors, but it is worth it. And if for nothing else, you are supporting an organization that is promoting the hobby of currency collecting. If that's all you get out of that $50 or $25 a year, it's a donation. Think of it that way, to make our hobby better, and that's all that organization, both organizations. But I just see, there's holes for different organizations as far as what can it do for me as an average collector. And I'll be honest, probably not a lot. If for me, I deep dive on the articles, I like the information. It's like this and that. Um, it's a value to me, but I can see where maybe it wouldn't to others, where the books do just as well. That's as much as deep as I want to get. I don't need to know why there was a second Treasury note printed, right? I don't need to know why the backs changed on the legal tender notes from 1862 to 1863. They don't care, and I think that's your average collector, and I respect that. So, in segueing back to our average collector, Raiden, with Heritage, my first question that I want to ask about the currency auctions, and it's neither here nor there. At what point do you say, hey, this note is a signature note, it's going to go into the signature auction? What differentiates notes from the Tuesday auction to a signature?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have value thresholds and value minimums
Okay.
for our numerous venues. Okay, and we also have the showcase auctions, which I'm sure you're familiar
Yeah.
with.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I'm saying signature, showcase, all
sure, got it. Yeah,
anything
so
outside of your Tuesday weekly.
sure, yeah, absolutely. So within our signature auctions, typically our minimum is $1,500.
Okay.
Okay, if it's valued $1,500, then typically we'll go into the signature auction. Now there are some exceptions like 500s. Okay, we're not going to put a
All
VF
500.
500 in signature auction because basal value for a VF 500 is 1,500. So of course those will go into the weekly auctions. Typically I don't put anything less than XF for the high denoms into the signature auctions, of course, unless it's a replacement. But anyway, getting back to
That makes sense.
um,
Though. It makes sense, and that's a good
right.
why I would see higher value notes in the Tuesday weekly.
Right,
If it's
exactly.
a 500 or 1,000, that makes
Mhm.
sense. Yep.
And then, of course, we do have some instances where we have clients who consign to us and they say, hey, I would actually like, this note. We do know that it could go and be placed into the signature auction, but we would rather have it featured in one of the weekly auctions. And, we have people that like to do that because let's just say that have a $2,000 large size type note. Okay. A $2,000 large size type note in the signature auction, it's going to be, kind of it's just another lot in the auction. However, if you put that note into a weekly, it's the highlight of the weekly.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's some, kind of, mental things that come into that. You look at the big item that's in the weekly auction, it gets featured as a highlight and it gets a little bit more attention, which could garner more bids and bidding activity. So
And
there's
by the
that.
way, for everybody, don't think that I don't know Heritage is out to make a profit. And that's okay. I mean, I'm just saying that's their job. And
Yeah,
that's
it
okay. It's
is.
called capitalism. It's called, and anyways, so
Well, we have to maximize value for our consigners, so
100%.
we like to do that. But of course, now going into the showcase auctions, okay? So within the showcase auctions, these are specialized offerings, okay? So we have spring, summer, fall, winter, colonial, and obsolete showcase auctions, okay? We will always have 4 of those a year because we have enough material in-house to support and justify those.
Is there a minimum
Um,
notes for that? Is there like, oh, we want 300? Is there,
yes.
I mean,
Yes, and I'll touch on that.
okay, sorry.
Um, no, you're fine. So the value level for those showcase auctions are typically $300 to that $1,500 level. So you get some really juicy colonials and obsoletes that can be placed into that sale. Anything that's less than that $300 level, those are the colonials and obsoletes that will be placed into the weekly auctions. Um, Now, we do occasionally have Confederate. We do occasionally have fractional, U.S. errors, other different showcase auctions that we will create if we have that material to support it in-house. Typically, we like to have maybe around 300 lots to support that showcase auction,
Good.
and around, let's just call it $150,000 value level. So there's minimums that we have to, have to create those showcase auctions. Earlier this week, I requested to have a Winter Confederate showcase
Okay.
auction created, which will be on March 15th. So it's not on the website now, but we're getting that created. So we're going to have another Confederate offering.
Question regarding, and it's not specifically Confederates, but
Mhm.
so it's like, okay, you determine that notes enough come in. If I'm selling my note, okay, I'm selling notes to Heritage saying, yeah, I want these to
Mhm.
be sold. Please take care of those, whatever terminology you fancy auction people call that. But yeah, I'm giving my collection or whatever you accept, right? How do you determine, if it is that it's on a borderline or it's like it's going to go this week, next week, or I'm going to hold it? Do you buy that from me? I'm not going to get a check until it sells. So am I sending you that and it's just gonna be in a holding pattern for 3 months until the showcase or whatever auction happens? Is that I'm just looking logistically. I'm not, there's no judgment
Sure.
here. I'm
Sure.
judging,
Absolutely.
not Heritage.
Yeah.
Uh, okay.
Yeah. So obviously we do try and, the turnaround from start to finish of the consignment process, we do try and, put the money in your pocket as soon as possible.
And it's not
Um,
it's the timing of the note. I mean, that's really
Got it. So yeah, so let's just say you can sign some material with us and they're, all slated for the weekly auctions. They're going to go into the weekly sales. Obviously, we have a cap, let's just call it, for our weekly auctions. We don't want to just pile up a weekly auction to the point where we have 700 lots in a weekly.
it
Okay,
is
that weekly auction is going to run till 2 in the morning. We don't want to do that to people. So we typically we have a sweet spot that we try and reach for our lot count in the weeklies. So, if we have a lot of material in house, we'll just simply place your notes, in the next available weekly
right.
where
You're
there's
gonna
still
hold it.
room.
Yes.
So that could be a month and a half. It happens. Like right now, we're very fortunate. We have Our weeklies are quite robust right now. We have plenty of great material slated for the weeklies. And, right now, if you were to consign something to a weekly auction, it's probably going to get featured in the last 2 weeks of December. So, and going into
Okay, so
January.
that's cool to know. I mean, I don't know why I want to know that.
Yeah, well, it's because you're
Okay,
going to
so
consign to us,
yeah,
right?
I mean, well, that's right. Because I'm a collector. Wow, how about that? Is that a good answer? Plus, my notes are like, I mean, you guys, I mean, I'm just not a high roller collector, but I'm just your average guy, which, I think a lot of us are. And that's why I encourage with heritage. For me, the discovery of heritage, I appreciate eBay and everything that it has done for my collection. But once I got to that, I mean, seriously, the price keeps getting lower for me personally, as far as where is the value and it's about $200 to $300 for me to say I'm gonna wait for a heritage to see if my note that I want comes on, and I'm watching eBay. The note's probably there two or three times, but they want $500 for that note, and I know I know from experience that more than likely I can probably get that note for 350 on heritage. That's the true value of that note, not some inflated eBay bastard seller trying to get gouge us.
Right. And we're we're
That's
we're
and
we're, we're
people
proud
are
of
afraid.
that.
People are like, "Oh, it's heritage. It's an auction." Yeah, it is. But it's
It
like
is.
even with the premium, and I'm talking that my pricing that I just said includes the premium for those of you that don't know. So it's 350 with premium, with everything I got into that note, and it's still going for 500 over on eBay.
Mhm. Well,
If
and that's another thing that another great resource. I mean, you can ask anybody in the business, coins, currency, anything really. Our archives are a fantastic resource
Okay,
for the latest values. Um, you
thank you
know,
for saying that, and thank you for Heritage for doing it the way you do it, because that is now the go-to. All right, recent sales, do all the search functions. And by the way, I have yet to find eBay suck as far as trying to find sales history on it. It is Heritage is what you guys have set up as far as going down large size, picking out, okay, legal tenders, okay, let's stick to Federal Reserve notes. Federal Reserve notes, all right, denomination, all right, I want it PMG, all right, I want it by Minneapolis. And they work. I don't sit there and think, am I missing notes? Is the search system not delivering me all the results? It is fantastic, and why I am excited, get passionate about this, because there is your market value, folks, right there. So if you're asking me where I go for my values based on the grade that I'm looking for, it is heritage. That is my first check. And all I have to do is join and provide. Yes, you have to provide financial information when you join heritage. It's not a cost, it's just you got to provide financial information in case you ever buy something. If you can get past that, this is the best free resource for market prices. Now, nationals still, they're always going to be what they are. Obsoletes are going to be what they are. Worlds are going to be what they are. Those are all three. And Bob, I want to come back. And if you guys are nice enough to come back, because it's 10:12 right now, we've been on over an hour. I don't want to go past an hour and a half for your time. I would love to have you back and talk about that next level of currency collecting, of trying. We touched on nationals. So, anyways, I'm sorry, Raiden, I interrupted. I went on
no, it's
like a
sidebars
kiss of
galore. That's
heritage's
just
ass here, but I could care less about heritage here as far as what it does. What's in it for me? Believe me, I'm a selfish guy. So,
But no, going back to our website, we're very proud of it. We take a lot of pride in it. We were early adopters of, building a reliable, website. We started working on that in, I think, 98, 99, and we put a lot of.
refresh. You got to just did a new refresh. It's all pretty. It's like me.
Oh yeah, so we got a little bit of a facelift. There's some new features on the website. I encourage anybody watching now to check it out. Kind of explore a little bit, play with the new toys. We're happy with it. If you have any feedback whatsoever, let us know. We're curious to know what everybody thinks. It can be both good or bad. You let us know what you think. Any suggestions. We're seeking that out right now. So you can tell us it's great. You can tell us it sucks. Let us know. So
Well, one thing I did appreciate is that with the refresh, at least from let's call it the skin of the website, right? What we
mhm,
all see and interact with. Yes, things have changed, moved a little bit, but for the most part, it is you get to that page and it takes about 10 seconds to go, oh, okay, this is here now and this is here. Everything's still working the same way, which
mhm,
you have to do that. I'm glad that Heritage did that.
right.
Uh, but no matter what, I mean, I'll bring up great collections. A competition. Um, People kind of complain about great collections. I'm like, yeah, it's a pretty clunky website, but guess what? It works. It is clunky, it is old school, but it works. And to a certain degree, I see that with Heritage in the background, knowing what I know. Yeah, it's clunky at times, but it works, and it's not that clunky. It's pretty. I think it's very intuitive as a user, and I just really appreciate that. One for what do I want in my upcoming collection? What am I looking for? I'm looking for a note, and pretty much, yeah, like you said, 1998. I think the oldest listing it goes like to 2002 or 2001 that I've personally seen, and they
Mhm.
go all the way back, and you can get that history. You can see, oh, here's what happened to the values in 2008. Oh, there's a cat. Here's what happened in 2008 prices. Oh, here's pre-COVID. Oh, here's COVID. Here's you can see that, and I appreciate it, and it's free with a little financial information that you have to give them. So, what is the state? What is the state of Heritage? How? I mean, you guys are healthy, robust. You're the auction business is going well. You seem to be. Nobody else does what you do. Lynn Knight is probably the least well known as far as, and if I had a suggestion to Lynn Knight, just make it regular, please. Same with Stacks, Bowers. It's too I don't like the unpredictability of that, and that's what I enjoy about Tuesday auctions with Heritage, and that when you do an auction, it's plenty of time in advance going, oh, here comes a showcase, here comes a this. And I know as collectors, we get together and watch those big ones. We could never afford, I can't, but they're fun to watch. And then we sit there and bullshit on the phone and watch the auction and see what these big notes go for, because it is fun. Everybody likes to see what, there's a watermelon. Let's see what happens to it.
Right.
It's just fun to see. And with the exception of what, if you happen to be the auctioneer, well, we then talk more, but whatever. You know, I'm ripping you, Hayden. Hayden, come on. He's just not. Is he this way all the time, Cody?
all the time, like nonstop. You have no idea.
No, Ray, I've heard through the grapevine that you're unlike me. You're more quiet. You're more, not that you don't talk. You've been doing a great job, and I appreciate it. But
No. That's just the way I am. I'm a listener, I guess.
uh,
But um, but no.
but at the end of the day, what do you see next? I, I mean, do I see a buyer's premium increase, decrease, change, or is Heritage comfortable with that?
Those
And
aren't my decisions.
going up in
So
price. That's what I wanted to kind of, I'll put you on the spot a little bit.
well, again, we have
Say, Dan, I can't answer that question, and I will move on. You can say that. That's
yeah,
okay.
no, yeah, that's not my decision. So about the BP. So
Because that
not
is
much I can say with that.
that is fair to look around the market, and go everything that you buy, and to
Mhm.
say, if the BP to the buyer's premium, sorry, doesn't go up, I would expect it to go up, I guess, and not everything else is. Why wouldn't this company do that? All right. Anything else that you'd want to say for Heritage? I mean, as far as here's your commercial time if you need it or want it. I'm
Yeah,
just
no, absolutely. If there's anybody that ever has any questions or concerns about any of our lots, let's say that there's something that you're interested in bidding on, and you want to give me a call, and I'll pull the lot and I can take a look at it in person. You want my 2 cents? I'm happy to do that. If you have any,
Seriously, that is
it's
available. I mean, because
absolutely.
wow.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to offer that. If you have any notes that you upgraded, you have a duplicate, you want to consign it, reach out to me. I'm happy to assist and help you with your putting your notes in an upcoming auction. But yes, I'm a resource. I'm part of Heritage. If there's any way I can help with anybody's collecting endeavors, don't hesitate to reach out. So I could be reached. If I'm not on the road, I'm here at the office here in the unofficial money museum, as people like to call it here, and I'm happy to help fellow passionate collectors. So
Well, so you brought it up. It's like, what is, and I think another thing that goes through everybody's mind is like, my stuff isn't good enough to be on Heritage, be sold on Heritage. What is, I mean, is it pretty much it's a value, a market value, and saying, yeah, we're not going to bring it on. We're not going to consign it if it's not X amount. Is there an X amount dollar amount, Raiden, that Heritage?
yes, I mean we do have lot minimums for
Okay.
certain. For
All right.
certain, we have $150, $200-ish lot minimums
Okay.
that we strive for. So we do set that we don't want to have lots hammering for 20, 30, $50. We try and keep it nice and clean and organized. But as long as it's 100 over $150, we can run it as a single lot. If anybody is looking to consign, typically we have a consignment minimum of $5,000.
I
To
mean,
start off your first consignment.
I've got 25 notes that equal $5,000. Is
Uh-huh.
that what you're saying?
Right, that's exactly right. Yes.
Okay. All right. Each of
Obviously
those
some.
notes, each of those notes should have 150 slash whatever, or are you looking at the consignment overall at that point?
We're the overall, but let's
Okay.
just say, for example, you have three notes worth $50 or two notes worth $75. We can group lot them to achieve that lot minimum. So,
Yeah. I forgot about that. That's when you do
Mhm.
see the multiple notes in there. All right. So I mean that is approachable. I mean, it's funny. I mean, people don't think they have that amount. And if you've been collecting seriously for 10 years and you've never added it up, one, shame on you. And two, if you can add up what you at least bought your currency for, again, shame on you. I don't mean to be the big, say you need to do this, but it's important. You need to track your collection. Um, you'd be surprised how quickly it adds up. 5 grand is adds up quickly, even for
Yes,
me.
it does.
So it's an available option to sell at that point. And that's another question that people have or should be thinking about is what if you're not here for your collection? You know, you're gone. You step off a curb tomorrow, and you should have an exit plan. And Heritage could be an exit plan for you. So for at least your relatives, contact rate, and I'm sure you get those phone calls.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
So all right, I gotta go. I'm gonna wind up here a little bit because we got too big of topics that I seriously, would you guys be willing to come back?
Absolutely.
absolutely. Yeah,
Awesome.
totally. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Because I do want to talk. I do want to get into Raiden specifically because Cody, I don't want to put you on the spot, but obviously chime in. But when obsoletes for sure, Cody and
I
Raiden, and
collect Iowa obsoletes too.
yeah,
So
hopefully Andy can chime in, and no one will ever talk from then on out. Um, Raiden's just crickets. Cody acknowledges. Uh,
No, no, I would love to. I look forward
Well,
to
I
next
mean,
time.
I'd love to bring Andy back in because Andy, to see the three of you guys go around that. But let's talk obsoletes and Raiden specifically getting into because the errors is fancy serial numbers, Disney notes, and we make fun of them. And I wish there was only one Disney auction a year, and I never saw them again. But that's I'm being unkind to those folks, but I get it. Collect what you want, whatever floats your boat. Um, but those all get into values and kind of I'm kind of looking at what's hot because I think fancy serial numbers in the last what
oh,
3-4 years has really gained traction and
oh,
attention.
yeah.
Errors has always been there, And for a couple of us, we have a couple of my friends are attracted to the errors and they're just starting to get into it. And we had our old friend Dennis, who did consign his collection. He passed away in the last year. He came on and he had sold his. I think he did go to Heritage way back in the day. Um, but Dennis said, if you're going to get an error, make sure it's a good one. And he said, make sure it has sizzle. He goes, if you got a minor error, it's not worth your time and effort type deal. And he wasn't being a snob. He goes, that's what errors are for. So that whole thing on errors and world banknotes, I just think world banknotes is, you could call it a money pit. You could, and I understand that, but we don't collect, I don't collect for just value, for resale. I mean, if I buy a US note, I figure if I sold it a year from now, I'm going to get X amount, 70% value. If I buy an error or obsolete, I might get 60, 50% value in a year. If I get a World Bank, I'd lucky if I get a quarter on it. I don't know if that's true. Just help me out. That would be the conversation. And I would have loved to get into grading today, but I do want to get on a one thing, and this is not a bashing PMG, but we've touched on it before with this friend of Big Apple from Big Apple Stacker. So he had a 63 PCGS currency note that probably, Cody graded. I don't know. But it was a 63. It was a national bank note from New York City, 1394 charter number. And he wanted to cross it over with PMG. And I trust Big Apple. I mean, we're not graders, but it's like I think we can hold a note up to light and go, it has no folds. Now, can we detect all of them? But if PCGS currency graded it, what, obviously over what, how many years ago? Five at least?
Six,
Seven?
7 to 6, 7.
Yeah, yeah, 7 years, 2019, 18 is when they went defunct, something like that. Anyways, um, it went from a 63 to a 40. And that was, I've never seen, not even with CGA or
That
legacy.
was a PCGS currency to PMG.
63. He sent it into PMG and it came back a 40.
I can chime in a little bit on that.
Yeah.
What it could have been. Now, don't take me as the
No,
gospel.
no, you don't know it. You haven't seen it, but
I haven't seen it, the note, but was it a large? It was a large size note, wasn't it?
yeah, it was a national bank. It was brown. I think it was a brownback,
Okay.
82.
So the way some of those notes, those large size notes were printed, they're wet printed. So they're placed on racks to dry.
Yeah,
Sometimes you get what are called drying lines, which they look like folds. They look like a fold that will knock it to uh, uh, an XF,
sure.
but
Understandable. Right?
they're not folds. You
They're
see a lot
part
on
of
black
they're
on
part of
black the process.
the process of making money. Yeah.
You'll see a lot of like on Black Eagles, especially silver
Hey,
certificates.
but Cody, I mean, that's good. That's great information, by the way, for just picking up a note. Wouldn't I see that with a backlit note?
No, because they're technically they look like bends, and you can't backlight a bend out on a slab. Like
Is a
I always
bend a fold in an XF world?
if it doesn't break the if you have two okay if you have two verticals,
Yep.
the paper is not broken like hard creased, that can grade up to a 53. If the paper is broken hard, you're at 45 max.
Right. It's instant.
And those drying lines don't really break the paper, but they're there. If you cut them out of a slab, you can see them, but you cannot see them in a slab. And sometimes there's a confusion. I'm really picking my words carefully
And
here.
I understand it.
And
I know
there's a
you're being fair.
confusion with some graders and finalizers that consider those drying lines folds or bends when they are not. And
Okay.
I've always said too, if you want to make a hell of a upgrade, look for Black Eagles in 40, 45Q and older certain services and cut them out and change them because they're confused with drawing lines with folds.
And yeah, I mean, and this is where I get a little nervous.
I know I'll get pushback on it. I know there might be some people watching that won't like me
Right,
say you're
right.
wrong, but I've as a grader who's crossed notes, as someone who's has purchased notes, boughten's not a word. It's my rural hick in me talking, but
Love
uh, if somebody who's done this enough and has witnessed this, drawing lines can easily be confused with folds. You just have to know the process on how the notes were made, and it
So
makes sense.
was that process from the original like legal tenders all the way through till
When they're
it's good information just to know like, oh,
when they're
that's
wet printed like that, they're put on racks, and where those racks
even
sat,
right up to the small size when they were still printing them wet.
yep, you'll see that stuff. You
So
just have to
that's a
know.
thing with all. It doesn't really matter. It's the
Doesn't matter.
process.
And
Okay,
some notes won't have them. It just
right.
depends on how they sat on those racks.
Well,
And
that's one of the things. By the way, one of the video ideas I've got is to have on with you guys and Andy is that I just got to compile it. Is I literally want to take Andy's all of his tidbits and just snip it, play it, and then we react to it, and just because that's the type of thing I think we're all looking for. Like what you just said, Cody, and you said it very well. You're like, okay, it's possible they missed it, and we all and things can get missed. It's an art, not a science in grading. But that just seemed to me that's a huge miss.
that's a pretty
It's pretty dramatic.
big jump. And I've seen it the other way, crossing from that one to the other service as well.
Okay, and
It
that
you have a human factor. You're dealing with humans that are doing this. Like everyone's like, oh, computer maybe will do this someday, or AI will do this. It
there's
can't.
no way.
Computers don't understand these nuances. Computers don't understand eye appeal. They don't understand like processes. Even if you tried to quote unquote teach them it, they're not going to figure this out. But like I said, there's things that I mean, back in the 70s, people thought paperweight was a problem in handling, and they pressed the living
Right.
hell out of the notes. So,
And that was part of the drying process also.
oh, yeah, I love that. Man, don't you love getting like Raden's probably gotten consignments of partial packs of those Series 34 or earlier Series small size where they tear.
Rack. I mean, they're just stuck. I mean,
They're
all the time.
gorgeous, just crackling fresh. But
I mean, and I had a good point, but I'm old and bitter and I lost it. But I mean, that's
I can see the turnoff to somebody that crossed it and probably went from, like I see in the comments here, 64 to 40. But uh, it's it's something like that bears questioning when it's that big of a jump, and that goes from one service to another or one service to another. I'm not playing favorites on this, but like,
no, and I know, and I'm not trying to bring us there either, Cody, at all. And out of respect for what you have done, where you are in the industry, and what Raiden has to deal with for his consignment process, you have to deal with these companies, and you have to be fair. And we're not going there. It really isn't about this. It could have been the other way around. It great. PCGS Banknote could have graded at XY, and it went over to PMG, and or the opposite. It's about the situation, not the companies, and it really is. And those are the type of nuggets, and to learn that, and again, my this is where it's so difficult as an average collector where you're not seeing. I mean, how many raw notes have you held as an average collector? And you think you can call a 45 or a 50 to 53? Come on, give me a break. Give
I've
me a break. Now,
handled tens of thousands, and sometimes it's tough for me to look
right.
at.
That's what I'm saying. And you're not, most time, you're not holding those notes raw. And speaking of AI, that question has come up. Do you see AI? I don't have enough knowledge to base on coins, but I can see where it would work better with coins because it is a hard physical material. I'm not saying it could, but with paper, no way, no how do I ever see AI. AI cannot hold the note, and that just end of story at that point. And that so AI just don't ever see that happening with currency grading. So we got more stuff to talk about. I'm gonna pop onto the comments. Thank you, Cody, for going them. I just want to say hi. Oak, Ontario came in, Blue Oval. Blue Oval Pro, I'm actually going to meet him at a show in about an hour. We got a little small currency or coin show. Martin, thank you for checking in. Bill, how you doing from Chicago area? If you're still on. Big Apple. Who else we got? Anything I see? Oh, Lee, good morning from Atlanta. Thank you. Jeff Davis, good morning. Jeff Davis, by the way, so Jeff Davis, I do want to get you on. We need to talk in this situation. Jeff has done an interesting collection where, as far as one of my circle of folks that I touch with, he's gotten a colonial from all 13 states. And I'd love to be able to talk about those. I want to have him on first, get the basics of that you can collect, and then have you guys come back and weigh in on those. Because again, it's another type of kind of a niche. Retired Navy Rob, or love retired Navy Rob, love your notes. Massa Basic, love my buddy Dean, although I'm not a fan of him right now because he made me do a really weird video. I'm just saying hi to everybody. Really, really appreciate this. So again, I'm going to ask for some feedback. Dan, have you written any small market town notes opposed to collecting large city? Yeah, we touched on that a little bit. Did you answer that, Cody?
Yep, I answered it in the
Okay,
comment
sorry.
section.
Good. But this is something that I'm debating about trying to do every Saturday morning at 9. Does this time work for you guys? Would it be better to say, oh, it's an evening? Or, I mean, going into the winter, I think it's more easier for everybody, right? Summers will probably take, and I'm not saying I'm going to do this every Saturday, but if I can put together a topic, put together some folks that talk about their currency collection, and that's what I want to do, is just have some live stuff with interaction. It's pretty cool. I really like it.
Yeah.
And sincere thanks, Raiden, Cody. Cody, thank you for harassing me. I appreciate that.
I'm antsy all the time.
It is a privilege. I mean, you guys, I mean, it's like it is really a privilege to have the knowledge base and the experience, and you guys are younger than me, and it makes me feel good about the industry, much younger than me. Although I'll look younger after Christmas when I get rid of the Santa Claus beard, because I am Santa Claus for Christmas. I work for the Historical Society, and we do this big thing, and I get to be Santa for 5 days a year. Anyways,
Nice.
is it? Well, I do it. Now that I've got grandkids, it's going to be kind of cool though. So that's going to be really cool. I just really appreciate you guys, and Andy, same with them, and anybody who comes on and joins and wants to talk. It is very, very, very appreciated, and it makes me feel comfortable with where our industry and hobby, that we still need to grow, make it stronger. I don't want to become a philatelist. Um, and if you don't know what that is, look it up. It's not anything wrong. So
Well, that'll be a topic for next time too.
that is, I mean,
Yeah.
that is it is, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's
it sure is.
our fear, right? Is where his stamp collecting was huge.
Well, I went to my first stamp show, believe it or not, last year, and that was probably the single most depressing event I've ever been to.
And
I went to go look for postcards, you know,
right.
because as you are well aware, I would collect real photo postcards that depict currency.
Yeah,
But I was
yeah.
probably the youngest person there by 50 years, and
I
I'm not joking.
I know
Yeah.
I get they and well, yeah, that is another topic that we got to take 20 minutes on. But Raiden, thank you for bringing up the ephemera aspect of collecting. And I know Dean, my buddy Dean, and Mass Basic and Ontario 100. I love it when I can find something to go with my banknote. Like I just did the ocean liner notes, and I found a postcard that was sent from that ocean liner. It was that was on one of the Chinese banknotes that I was showing in my collection. It's so cool. You find a check from old days or a postcard of the bank envelope.
Or
Though,
What about postcards from Parker's Prairie, Minnesota?
I know it. So this is it. So I gotta spotlight this because this
Yeah,
I
go for
gotta
it.
say, and so everybody, this was my 1909 postcard, and I did the deepest dive that I could do on this note, and actually found the newspaper describing this bank run. And he owns one of two postcards that thank you, Raiden, for providing that card and letting me feature this both of them in that video because it's a great story. And by the way, lift that back up.
Oh,
The
the
reverse.
caption is great. I
It is
love
great.
the message. Read the back.
So yeah, yes, the state bank is busted. Ha ha. It really wasn't, but if I told you the amount of money that was in the pile, you would not believe BLEAVE it. Most money I ever saw. Yours, Alf.
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 And I think Cody found Mr. John Lindquist. I think he found his grave. Did you not, Cody? And I think
You pieced it together with Alf.
he pieced it, and I think was Mr. Lindquist the one who accidentally shot himself.
Mhm.
I
Oh,
think so.
wow.
Yeah. This
Well, this
what
is
shotgun went off in his truck or something like that. I think.
Yep.
and then piecing together the guy who brought in the extra money to keep the bank from not going under. And it was a state bank, not a national bank, and there was confusion with that because the town, literally the banks were kitty corner from each other on Main Street. And I was able to identify and go to the grave site of the guy who came from Stillwater, Minnesota to Parker's Prairie and brought the bag of cash, which is how cool is that? You got another one. What do you got?
I brought some different ones, but you can
Yep.
finish. I'll maybe show a couple others.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh well,
Well, if you don't
that
want
was
it,
oh here. Well, let me
or do you,
go back and state that w- um aside from collecting Georgia Nationals, I have a lot of sub collections.
yes.
Okay,
Yep.
and one of those I'm very passionate about are currency related images. So these can be postcards, stereo views, photographs, glass slides, anything that has currency depicted in some way, shape, or form. But the most exciting ones to me are the real photo postcards because most of the time they were one-offs or there was just half a dozen made and that's it. But there's some incredible ones, and within the real photo postcards, they offer remarkable clarity, and you can really, pinpoint what's being featured in the photo. But this is another one of my favorites.
Wait, is that on
Um,
your wall back there too?
it is, yes, I blew it up
All
and
right. And that's
put
the
it.
quality of those. You get a high res scan of
Oh
those, and
yeah.
that's great because we deal with these historical society all day long with the stereo views and the postcards, and they are printed. Actually, you get a high res scan, you can get a good view. So what are we
Oh,
looking
yeah.
at on that one that you just?
So three gentlemen
Oh, the bank.
um, holding exactly $100 face value in currency alongside what appears to be some kind of you can't tell if they're gold or silver, but I would assume they're
A
silver
little bit, it's a
dollars.
little fuzzy. Raiden, back the card up a little bit. You, there you go. Now there you go. Okay, sorry.
But
So they got $100 and you can't tell what.
here, this might be easier. How about I just show you them all? Let's see. How do I flip this thing? Oh, here we go. Okay, maybe this you can see it better
Oh,
here.
there you go.
But
It's
they're
only $100. That's it.
$100 face value, yes. But you have a wide variety. You have you have I think five total national banknotes. You have some silver certs. You have a bison. You got a chief. You got a $10 golds. But two of the national banknotes are identifiable to the point where you can identify the charter number. And I made a post on the National Banknote group on Facebook, going over the two that I was able to identify. And both of the banks are from Indiana, so obviously this is probably taken in Indiana somewhere. Um, but again, this is one of my favorite views.
And this
Um,
was what why are they standing there? What is the what why did they
you
get there?
know, I figured it's one of two things. Maybe who knows? Maybe they just. Well, I would hope they didn't rob a bank and just came out with $100. But
Well,
um,
why? kind of a decent haul, smaller haul back in the day.
Yeah. But or maybe it's profits from I don't know a crop. I don't know. It's tough to know. We'll never
The
know.
way they're
But
displaying it, I mean, is so odd. I mean, is it
well,
pinned on their shirt? I mean, what's going on there?
yeah. That's funny because some of the notes on each of the gentlemen they're pinned on their shirts.
They are pinned. Okay.
So I'm not sure exactly why they went to this level to display them. I don't know. Um,
What a
but
great.
but actually over here, if you see,
You got it blown up.
I have that blown up.
And here's what's funny about, I got to talk about this a little bit, that there's two known photographs, Raiden or postcards. Raiden has one of them, and a gentleman named Sean Hewitt up here in Minnesota has the other one, which I initially was told by Ontario 100. He goes, "Hey, have you seen the National Banknote Collectors Facebook site?" And I'm like, "No, there it is." And I asked Cody, and he's like, "Yeah, Sean Hewitt." He didn't throw you under the bus, Raiden, right away. That took Andy to do that.
We didn't have his yet.
Oh, you didn't have it yet? Well, there you go. But what's funny about this, Raiden, is that they are the same image, but how they printed them out on the Kodak, this one came out a little bit more tilted to the right and
Yes.
zoomed in a little bit. They're the identical photograph, but they were just developed differently. And you watch the video to find out the process of that because it is pretty amazing of how the Kodak, what was it, whatever the camera was, I can't remember, um, and how they were able to produce that. So, I mean, to me, those are just fascinating. And that if you can tie a note to that, the piece of ephemera is super. I just think it's fascinating and really cool. It can really enhance your collection. So, you don't have to. You don't have to just collect currency all the time. So, I am looking at the over your right shoulder. What's the big stack of cash? Is that at the BEP
Oh,
in your back?
that's another one of my favorites. That's actually a that came from a glass negative that was about yay big. And here, let me let me just show you again.
Sorry about that.
Um, no, that's okay. But this is another one of my absolute favorite images. So these are the contents of the New York Federal Reserve Bank
Oh,
vault.
okay.
And what's cool about this, they're all gold certificates with the exception of the row of $5 legals. But
Bucket.
you have a row of $10 golds, $20 golds, 50, 100. Then if you go on the bottom, you see the $1,000 golds,
Thousands, a whole
5,000s, and
holy.
10,000s.
By the way, so the survival rate for those are like the 5, 10,000. What are they like, one or two?
Yeah, so of the $5,000 golds, I think there are two known. And then the $10,000 golds. So these are the 1882 $10,000 golds. We can tell that by the black font of the 10,000 counter on the right. Those are unknown.
No known, except there's at least what a stack, a strap of them
There's
each.
3 rows of them.
But
And another interesting aspect about this, if you look at the row of $5 legals and the $10 golds, as well as a couple rows of the $20 golds, they're uncirculated. So this image, I would assume, is taken in the early 20s, maybe. But there's also a sad reality that everything in this image was destroyed. So,
well, I
uh,
mean, and that's just it, and that's what is sad. I don't understand. And again, currency collectors at the time, probably it was 1933. We all know, the law that was passed that treated paper gold certificates just like a gold coin. You could not own them. And I don't understand why they just couldn't instantly declare them as, devalue the note. But the US doesn't really do that either. So that is just so sad but that is, wow, that is a cool, great image. All right.
thank you.
So enough of that. We will get going. I don't want to take any more of your time. Anything that you would have to add, Braden and or Cody?
No, this is just a great time. Love it. We had some good questions in the comment section. I think we hit up to about 40 some people at one point. So
Man,
Yeah,
so,
this is great.
well, in the comments and stuff like that, let me know if 9 a.m. works for everybody. And again, it's recorded. It will be on there on the live tab on my channel. So again, thank you, gentlemen. It's been fun as always. Have a great weekend. Um, I'll I'll pull you all an email going, okay, what's the next weekend? And if I don't talk to you before then, as well as everybody else, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. That's that time of year. So good and enjoy.